Good morning, everyone. This is Deborah Rose with the talk show going live in Payson, Arizona. If you'll please join us, share us, like us. We are going to be interviewing and talking with Kenny Evans, our former Payson mayor and president of the Mogollon Health Alliance. So please join us. And we're going to start here in about a minute. Kenny, I am just really, really grateful that you're here to share a lot of really important information on what is going on in this town, because there's a lot of rumbling underground and we want to set the record straight. So this is going to be a very, very important show. If you have anyone interested in the goings-on of the new proposed park being developed on Mud Springs Road, you want facts about what's happening with the school system, please join us and share us and get your friends on board, okay? So anyways, Kenny Evans, thank you for being here today. It's an honor.
Well, thank you.
I'm very grateful that you're here. Can you tell us a little bit about an overall view of the Mogollon Health Alliance?
Yes, Mogollon Health Alliance doesn't exist anymore. It has not existed for 5 years now, almost 4 years.
Well, see, there's a misnomer right there.
Mogollon Health Alliance was started in the 1950s and evolved first as a Pink Lady program and then ultimately as a major provider of health services in the community. In 2014, 2015, we merged Mogollon Health Alliance with Banner Health.
Okay.
So those two nonprofits merged. As part of that, to continue our mission in the community, we created MHA Foundation, just the letters, MHA Foundation. And it's MHA Foundation that's that's involved in so many projects around town.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what MHA supports first?
Well, we have a very defined mission under IRS rules. That mission is health, not health care, not medicine, but health and education.
Okay.
And so those two, we think, come together and are two of the critical issues in RIM country.
Yeah. We do have a lot of people that want to stay healthy. We live in an idyllic environment. Tell us a little bit about the project that you're working on right now on Mud Springs Road, if you don't mind.
Sure. Beginning almost 20 years ago, we had people in the community who began to realize that one of the real draws of RIM country were the opportunity to bring people from the valley up here during the summer months, during the shoulder months. And our former director of Parks and Recreation and Economic Development was instrumental in expanding the number of tournaments that we have up here. Interestingly enough, a lot of people, like to promote tourism, but if you think about it, our tournaments are have a far more positive impact on our community than tourism ever did. Because most tourists come through town, pollute our air, throw their garbage out the window, and head out to the forest where they try to burn it down. But those who come here for our tournaments are generally very good citizens in the sense that they come here, they support the community, they spend the night here, they spend money in our community, and they enrich the lives of all of us. So we have been focusing on trying to do something to enhance that. Cameron did too good of a job in the sense that he brought so many tournaments that we didn't have enough athletic fields really to handle the tournaments, and so there were many that would love to have come to Payson, but chose not to because they were fearful that the facilities would be overwhelmed by the number of teams and the number of games that needed to be played in a weekend. So this need in the community has been there for a very long time. We also have an emerging interest in soccer that's really blossomed worldwide, and certainly even here in Payson. And we try to cram them into fields that really weren't intended to be soccer fields. So our goal on Mud Springs is to bring some athletic fields to the east side of town. There are none currently that are east of 87. All of the facilities, Parks and Rec facilities and school facilities, are east of 87. And so we'll bring this to the southeast quarter. It'll be a nice place for not only athletic events but for family events to show up and have a place, a green spot in paradise where they can come and have a picnic or do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, and I think we need to make it really clear to the general public because, there was a lot of fervor about a possible sports academy here prior with our former mayor. Could you talk about the fact that this is really not the town taking this project on, it's the MHA Foundation, and you have your own resources. How would this be paid for?
Certainly, and one of the challenges that every community has in Arizona is how do you pay for a community center, and in this case a multi-generational center that has all the amenities to take care of the needs for youth, for young people, for young adults, for senior citizens. How do you pay for that? Because they don't pay for themselves in other places. So we started in a little different direction than the town did, and that's why it's taken us a little longer. We started by laying a good foundation underneath the program by saying, in order to be able to support and to afford the kind of facilities this town really needs, we need multiple revenue streams that are not the taxpayer. We need to reach outside of the traditional pattern of continuing to tap and extort money from the property taxpayer and reach out and find other revenue sources that will help support the cost of having a facility in town and keep that cost down to where the average family can afford to use it. And so we started by looking at those financial structures, looking at those revenue sources, verifying with banks and financial institutions that the people who were making comments or making offers to be a part of this really had the resources and the money to do that. And then once we got comfortable that that was going to happen, we began the planning phase of saying, okay, what should this facility look like? And that's where we are now.
Okay.
Now, for one thing, ball fields are ball fields. And so we had to level the ground. We had to get the trees off the ground so that we could begin that process of building those ball fields. The second stage or third stage or fourth stage will be then looking at the facilities that the community wants. So there are surveys being sent to thought leaders throughout the community to try to evaluate what it is that we want to be a part of this community multi-generational center. One of the things that surfaces right away was the need for a year-round aquatic center. And so certainly that will be one of those parts of the center, but it also involves having a facility large enough to have events. If you need to have 300 or 400 people together for an event in this town, where do you go? So we've done our very best to try to solicit from thought leaders in the community in different in different genres to say, what is it that we really need to take care of the kids, the youth, and the adults?
So a pool, covered pool, absolutely. You're also thinking of baseball fields and maybe a soccer field. Is there any other fields?
There'll be two. The first
Sports?
two actually will be soccer, football field, very much like there by the library, where you have a field that's big enough for soccer, but it's marked for both soccer and football. So there'll be soccer and football fields, baseball and combination baseball / softball fields. There'll be a center big enough, which would be the gym, not GYM but GEM, where you'll be able to have meetings, you'll be able to have events, you'll be able to have aquatic events, and you'll be able to have basketball tournaments and volleyball tournaments and pickleball tournaments and those kinds of things.
Have you ever thought of an amphitheater for music concerts or anything?
Yes, ma'am.
Covered?
Yeah, we've had a substantial donor step forward and say, we will make a contribution if we can have such a field. So part of the advantage of the site that we're on over there is the ability to do just that. In fact, as early as as early as 2009, we had hired RSP Architects out of Minneapolis to design a performing arts, not just music, a performing arts theater that would open up so that it could be closed, and 300 to 400 people would be able to be in an enclosed area, but the whole back wall opens up onto a grassy knoll where you could have several thousand people.
That's pretty exciting. Would there be ample parking to support?
Parking is a critical issue in Rim Country, as anyone who's tried to build anything here knows, and we've been working with the town for some time. Back to your question about the town's not doing this. Rim Country Education Alliance is a municipal corporation within a municipal corporation, so it's the equivalent of a town inside a town, and that's how we get away from having to put this load on the taxpayers of Payson.
Okay.
Is by having another municipal entity that can take care of those kinds of things. But we have worked with the town to help design, for instance, looking at widening Granite Dells and putting parking along there, widening it, really widened, like 72 feet wide, so that you could have angular parking along Granite Dells. We've got, I think, some 400 parking spots designed on the south side of Granite Dells as well, on that property, on portions of that property that wouldn't be appropriate for ball fields because of the terrain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, just to make it clear to the general public, this is not a taxpayer burden at all. You or the MHA Foundation did acquire that property on your own. You have found valid ways to sustain a stream to
of
take
revenue.
A private revenue to take care of a lot of the expenses, and based on how much support you do receive from these parties will determine also what membership costs would be, and you're going to try to make that affordable to the average family,
no,
right?
We won't try to make it affordable. It will be affordable.
It will be. Mm-hmm.
That's why we're starting where we're starting.
Yeah.
We're starting with the end in mind, with the idea that if we can't afford it without undue burden on the people who will be using the facility, we just won't build it. Mm-hmm. So we're starting with the model in mind of saying if it can't support itself predominantly from these other revenue streams, we're not going to hoist that on to the average family that's trying to use this facility.
Yeah, I think that's really important for people to understand, because I for one, I know that it is it's expensive to live in today's day and age, and we're taxed to the eyeballs, and I think it's really comforting for people to truly get that message that you're trying to convey, so it'll stop a lot of the anxiety perhaps, or fear, or upset.
I wish it would, but what I've found in my tenure, longer than you've been alive, 50 plus years of working with politics in Arizona, you've got the average person in Arizona is against it until they're for it.
That is true. Huh?
The initial reaction is, I'm against it, and that's not going to change. And the more we have allowed ourselves to let a handful of people who live within four walls to influence what we perceive to be the public opinion out there, the less value or less valid that opinion is.
Yeah. So
part of the reason that we've got this outreach going on and the forums that will be going on over the next few months is to let the average citizen, to let the average person with a family and 5 kids who can't get off of work in the middle of the day to go to a forum, we'll make it convenient so we can hear from the what I would perceive to be the real future of Payson.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you are going to have forums where people can come and find out detailed information about this project and answer any questions they may have. So that's really wonderful. How will you transmit those meetings? Through traditional means? Do you have a website?
We do, and we will.
What is your website, by the way? So
call the office and ask
Okay,
Sandra.
call the office.
I'm the farmer in the group, not the...
You're the farmer?
I'm the farmer in the group, so yeah.
You have quite an illustrious past. Did you not work for the federal government at one time before you became mayor of Payson?
I've had a really illustrious past.
And that's it?
That's it.
Okay.
I can tell you that I was I knew virtually every president since Richard Nixon up until our last president, and they knew my name.
Wow, it's pretty impressive. It's really amazing to me how many remarkable people live in Payson.
I'm one of many.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm just amazed at how many people who have chosen to be in this little gym corner of
Yes.
Arizona to retire, and many of those are people who contribute enormously to the success of this community, but want to do so behind the scenes.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference. I know there's a great cry out there on the part of the scallywags saying, "Oh well, why is this so secret?" It's not secret. It's just private. Mm-hmm. And people have a right to privacy.
That's right. Yeah, it's a difference if it's the town. There's got to be a fair amount of transparency and community involvement, but this is a private endeavor. No one is going to get stuck with a big tab, and I think it would be a tremendous benefit to this community and to the southeast and southwest quadrant, not southeast, northeast and southeast quadrants of Payson, because there really are no facilities on that side of town. And what's your timeline for all this? What do you hope to accomplish, and by when?
We've got very specific timelines, but many of those I'm a little reluctant to mention because they're out of our control.
Mm-hmm.
A classic example right now, we've got the trees down, we're ready to clear them and get them off the site, but all of that's dependent on the weather, the fire marshal, a whole lot of things that we have no control over. But the things we have control over, we will move expeditiously with.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. Do we have any? I forgot to mention that Cameron Davis of Razor Thin Media is behind the camera, and he's also the very Cameron that you have been alluding to, who did a fabulous job building our tourism and our town's website. So Cameron's a very gifted and talented man that now is on his own endeavor and doing phenomenal things for our community and for the county. Are there any questions, Cameron? None? Okay.
Got lots of people watching though.
Okay. Mayor, not Mayor, sorry, Tom, sorry, former
you.
Mayor. Can you tell us a little bit? I know our schools have been struggling a little bit. Do you do anything to help our public school system here?
We do a lot. We've spent millions, literally millions of dollars trying to help our school system here, and are continuing. In fact, just this week at our annual meeting, we approved another, got to count the digits, another 7-digit approval to move forward with a program to help our school system. We provided the computers initially for the students in the school. We've provided playground equipment. We've been a major supporter, in fact, the major supporter for the Payson Center for Success. That's made it literally a model for the state of Arizona. We've been the genesis for the nursing program at Gila Community College, which is, by the way, is rated the best in the country. Better than the U of A, has a better graduation rate, better scores on the part of the students who graduate from the nursing school. They get better scores than do students from any of the 3 universities. So yes, we support education literally from the ground up.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. Any future support going out? What
Yes.
about the teams?
Yes.
Since we're talking so much about possibly bringing an elite sports academy to Payson. I know a lot of parents out there had questions in the past about, well, what will happen? Do they merge football teams? Will this academy compete with the local high school? Can you talk to that for a moment?
I can clarify one thing, and that is that it's a sports academy. It's not a hockey school.
Okay.
That's something that's those out there that are really critical of it. pick on all the time. There are at least 5 sports that they've identified that they will begin. The Sports Academy will focus on, but the concept of a sports academy is not only to help those elite athletes hone their skills, their athletic skills, but to help them with their academic skills as well, so that when they get to the college level, they're able to progress and do well in their academic classes. So it's a concentration of all those things, but it's focused on sports like football, soccer, baseball, softball, golf, and I'd like to say, and the little finger, which is hockey over here, provided they can get enough interest in the hockey program.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very, very good.
Will they compete with our local schools? No, I don't think so. And our efforts, by the way, with the local schools are health and education, and so to the extent that we have helped with some of the athletic programs, it's only when we can see that nexus between health and education that we can literally get involved and help them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we do some things, but mostly we work with academics. We're working on a mentorship program right now that where we're partnering with the school, and we'll be spending a very large amount of money to try to raise the scores and elevate the performance of our local middle school and high school.
That's excellent. Very good. I think that's very much needed, and our children are the future, right? And we got to give them the best possible chance to succeed. Great people come out of small rural towns like Payson too, and educating them is one of those ways that they become successful.
And as you're aware, we are the financial arm that's helped Aspire Arizona develop one of the best dual credit programs in the state of Arizona, one of the best in the country. We have over 100 students involved. We have many students who are graduating from high school with their AA degree, or the equivalent of 2 years of college, as they're leaving high school, and that's a huge financial relief for parents.
Cameron's son is one of them. Oh, that's great. So the kids are able to take some classes at the Gila County Community College? Is that how they do it?
Gila Community College?
Yeah.
Actually, the Gila Community College teaches the kids over there. So.
Oh, so they come to them?
Yeah, they come to them. We provide the funding so that they can, that the classes and the program can be brought to the kids, and the kids and their parents aren't burdened with that cost.
Wow, that's wonderful. Gosh, I didn't know you did so many wonderful things. What about health fairs? Are you behind the free health fairs to the community?
We are. Both the community health fair, which now is in its 22nd year, that's held in the fall, the community health and care fair, which provides access for many people who have limited resources to be able to get some of the basic preventative health care issues taken care of, as well as linking them up with potential healthcare providers that can help them with issues before they become crises. So the Health and Care Fair has been one of our fun projects for 20-some years now. We also are the sponsor and the driving force behind the Women's Wellness Forum, which is held in the spring. And the Health and Care Fair, I think we had almost 600 people go through it last year. The Women's Wellness Forum, we're limited by the size of a facility that's available, and so we have to stop that at about 300 women, and we've sold out of that now it's in its 21st year, and we've sold out the last 15 of those 21 years. So it provides an opportunity for women to come and talk about not just medicine, not just health care, but health in general and wellness. How do I stay healthy? Not how do I get better after I got sick, but how do I stay healthy, both mentally and physically? Yeah,
that's very, very important. I was honored to be a speaker there about 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Very, very good thing for the community. For those of the audience that have never attended, say, the health fair, and you provide these free services, can you give an example of what types of screenings or what types of support that they can get?
Cancer, in particular breast cancer, eye screenings, dental screenings, blood tests and lab tests that are at subsidized cost. I mean, there's some cost, but it's like 1/10 of what you'd pay if you had to go pay for it directly out of your pocket. So
That's wonderful.
we've expanded the scope of those into some 65 different areas now. And anyone who's been there, I think, generally will come back the next year.
Okay, wonderful. I think there is one last topic that might be of interest. We only have 6 more minutes. Can you? Time just goes by like that. Maybe you can come back. Is there any plans on the horizon for the land that has been designated towards a university off of University Way?
Yes.
Can you share any of that, or is it?
I can tell you that, to date we've spent just a whisker less than $16 million on that project. The average citizen thinks all you have to do is buy a piece of land and a hammer and nails and wood and start putting up a building. The cost is truly astounding. I'm not sure I would have ever started the project had I realized the kind of infrastructure cost that's associated with it. But those infrastructure costs are going in. Discussions are continuing. We're trying to find the right mix. It's not a university, it is a multiversity, meaning there are multiple players that will be a part of it. I can tell you that the team these are all volunteers. The team at MHA spends probably twice a week, 3 to 4 hours with a team of deans and doctors and assistant deans to try to scope out and develop the curricula that has to be approved in advance for a remote location like this. So we're spending probably upwards of 60 to 70 hours a month with several dozen people located out of Payson. We do these meetings telephonically or with video conferencing, but with representatives from Tucson, representatives from downtown Phoenix, and those who represent the community here in Payson. So yes, we're moving forward. Are we gonna start pouring concrete tomorrow? No, but it is on the horizon, and we have the money to do it. But we have to do it the right way. It's got to be the right mix for our little community. We've had opportunities from day one to make the wrong choices, to allow a university to come here that would not have fit with the motif and the culture of this rural mountain town. And we've chose to hang tough and work on getting the infrastructure in place so that when we do make that call and we do have a facility starting here, that facility will be something that's complementary to and will help the community grow in a positive way, not become a detriment to the community.
Absolutely. In the final moments here, do you have any closing thoughts for people out in the public? I know that you did a tremendous job as our former mayor, and I want to thank you for that. You accomplished things that no human being could have possibly accomplished in such a short period of time. So for that, I commend you.
Well, thank you. Actually, it was a team that accomplished it.
It is true. It is true. Moving forward into the future, knowing that in small town communities where, there is an element of people that are always afraid of, the higher traffic volumes. We do have a big concern for affordable housing too.
I'd love to talk to you about our affordable housing initiative.
Yes. Okay, please.
MHA is involved in that as well, and we'll be making some announcements over the next 2 months.
Fantastic.
Not government subsidized housing, but truly affordable housing.
That's wonderful. That's an answer to my prayer, because I have been seriously concerned about that. The working class getting priced out of a town that desperately needs the working class. So I think that's a critical element to all of this conversation, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. We have a shortage of several hundred homes right now.
Yes.
And the lack of that housing makes it difficult to recruit for businesses that need employees.
Yes.
It makes it difficult to hang on to those employees, because if they're good employees, they suddenly can go somewhere else and
I know.
and not have to deal with the shortage of housing. That's a chronic, persistent problem in this community. So we're spending resources and time. In fact, I think we have a meeting on Tuesday of this coming week to take that next step with how we address this affordable housing, not government subsidized housing.
That's really good.
That's the term. Unfortunately, that's a term most people think of when they think about
Section
affordable housing.
8 and yeah,
and they think, oh
contracts.
well, they're going to build another government subsidized housing unit next to me.
Yes.
No, we're talking about something where the market forces will allow people to get into a home and afford the mortgage on that home as a starter home going forward.
Oh, I'm so relieved to hear that. Anything I can do to help you in that area, count me in. Yes, Cameron.
So, quick question.
Yeah.
I know MHA Foundation has been kind of leading the charge on the broadband. Can you talk about that at all?
Yeah.
When we're done here?
Yes. How much time do we have?
Well, just take. We can go over a couple of minutes if we have to. So.
This issue started, and I looked it up in anticipating this meeting today with you guys. This issue actually started back in 2009. So it's been a decade that we've known that we have a problem that we need to address. We've worked for the first 6 years of that process, trying to work through government grants and government programs and E-rates and programs that kept saying, oh, we're going to fund this amount of money. We're going to get $600 million from the federal government. We're going to get $500 million from the federal government. And you know what? That's a good analogy. It's just about like hitting the jackpot to get those monies. I saw a recent article from Andy Tobin, a dear friend of mine with the Corporation Commission, saying, well, we're going to get $60 million for rural Arizona. And when we called about it, it was, well, we're thinking about it. So in the end, about 5 years ago, Gila County, Navajo County, and Apache County came together and said, we got to do something maybe as a group. We're 1/4 of the geography of this state, and we are underserved or unserved, and it's hurting our business prospects. So thought we've got an entity that'll make this happen, and that consortium met again for 2 more years. And by the beginning of last year, my MHA's board was frustrated that nothing was happening. It wasn't that nothing was proposed. That committee did a Herculean job of laying out alternatives to get broadband, reliable, resilient, ultra-high-speed internet into the community. But none of the commercial carriers were willing to take on that financial load. And so last summer, about a year ago now, my board, under the direction, and by the way, of one of your realtors, Cliff Potts, voted to direct me to just go make it happen. They put up a pile of money and said, we're tired of waiting on promises from different levels of government. Go make this happen. And so we started negotiating with all the major players out there. Those offers came in from $18 million to $35 million to be able to do it. We finally found a partner who was willing to say, we will partner with you in bringing service to Northeast Arizona. And it was not the first meeting that we came to an agreement on, but after many meetings, we agreed that if we were willing to take that leap of faith, we, MHA Foundation, was willing to take that leap of faith and write a check for $2 million up front. No permits in place, just a promise that they were going to get it done, that they would, in fact, cover the additional 75% of the cost of getting reliable, ultra-high-speed internet into our community. We negotiated for some period of time. In October, the end of October, I hand-carried a $2 million check and handed it over to Cable One.
Fantastic. And
That, by the
cable,
way, that's no longer Cable One as of yesterday.
what is it now?
It's same company, different name.
Oh, well,
It's now.
something else. See what happens when you give people $2 million? They change on you.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
that's exciting news.
And we're a teeny tiny piece of Cable One's business. You realize
Yeah.
they're the
Oh,
7th
yeah.
largest provider in the country.
I didn't know that.
So, we're just a teeny piece of the business, and in reality, I shared that with somebody yesterday, that what made their offer unique was they were willing to step up and say there's a public benefit to us doing this. This is not a financial statement. It's not that the other companies were trying to rip us off. It's that it's very, very expensive to get this solution in place. They were willing to say there's a public need out there. There's a public welfare and public safety benefit that will accrue, that will be a benefit to all of Northeast Arizona, in particular to Payson. So they were willing to step up, and we appreciate that. And of course, a good faith offer of $2 million helped make that happen.
It sure did. Well, thank you for for that check and that support. When can we expect them to be engaged in our community and up and running?
The pad is built over at the corner of Juniper and Mud Springs right now. They're ready to set the pod, the building that will control all of Northeast Arizona, right there on that corner, as early as next month. And the last permits were issued last Friday, a week ago today. So construction will start forthwith, and will be done, and they will be into Payson by December 31st.
December 31st of this year. That's phenomenal. Such great news. Boy, you've just been like Santa Claus. You had your big old sack of happy news, and you just sprinkle Payson with it.
Yeah, I wish I could take credit for it, but I have an absolutely amazing board of directors who all work tirelessly to bring about these issues and these success stories.
Yeah.
And they're not asking for credit. I'm not asking for any credit.
Yeah.
That's why we get criticized all the time about being secretive, but we're not. We're just private.
You're humble.
No, it's not humble even. It's that we just want to get the job done. And so we're hopeful that people realize that government isn't the only way to solve people's needs.
Absolutely not. Matter of fact, the more we can solve it without the federal government, the better. That's just how I feel.
Federal, state, and local government.
Yeah, federal, state, and local. So, wow. So just recapping real quickly, because I know we're out of time, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. This is Kenny Evans, president of the MHA Foundation. I am a very quick study. They have their own website. You do have a local phone number. There are going to be forums coming very quickly regarding the projects that they are working on at Mud Springs Road. Feel free to reach out to the MHA Foundation, and this particular show will be archived on my Facebook page and on my website, www.paysonazproperties.com. Feel free to send people to that for information. You heard it directly from Kenny Evans, so there's no room for error or misconstrue the information. So thank you again for joining us. Thanks to Cameron Davis, Razor Thin Media, and thank you everyone for joining us today.